I need someone to tell me if it makes me a bad person that I 0% care about the measles outbreak that's going on right now.
Please, we are not kidding around about measles. It's a serious disease. People die from it. 1 in 5 children will get hospitalized with it.
Rise in popularity of the anti-vax movement, especially among conservatives, makes me so angry.
There are 124 cases confirmed of measles, of which 18 have been hospitalized.
And if you have had your MMR vaccine, then you are 97% protected.
Please get vaccinated.
Measles is spreading in the US, and TikTok is furious. From vaccine debates to public health fears, we're breaking down the rants you need to hear. Let's start with the first rant.
Okay, breaking news today from Lubbock, the first measles death in this outbreak, school-aged, unvaccinated child. Please, we are not kidding around about measles. It's a serious disease. People die from it. 1 in 5 children will get hospitalized with it. Know that the best way to prevent measles is to get your child vaccinated. Kids who are 12 months and up can get their first measles dose and can get a second dose 28 days or more after the first one. We typically give the second dose at age 4, but it can be given as early as 28 days after the first. Kids under 6 months of age are actually protected by their mom's antibodies. The high-risk group of children who are unvaccinated and essentially too young to be vaccinated are going to be your 6 to 12-month-olds. In outbreak situations, that vaccine can be given to kids 6 to 12 months of age, but the immune response, quite honestly, is not that great. And so we need to protect all of our kids. Please understand the severity of this situation. Talk to your pediatrician if you have questions.
So there's a measles outbreak right now in Texas, and I've seen a bunch of videos on TikTok, and the tone behind the videos is panic, worry, concern. So I did some research, and if you have had your MMR vaccine, then you are 97% protected, and it is very low chance and very unlikely that you would get infected by measles if you have the vaccine. I also looked it up, and about 90% of people are vaccinated. So I'm a little bit confused, and maybe this is a dumb question, but can somebody let me know, if we are vaccinated, do we need to be worried about the measles outbreak, or are we free to continue as normal? I mean, these videos are like, trying to make it seem like this is COVID, status or something. So somebody please let me know. Thank you.
Ari Brownham is out here sounding the alarm on the measles outbreak, and it's no joke. A school-aged, unvaccinated child just died in Lubbock, and she's reminding us that measles isn't just a rash, it's deadly. 1 in 5 kids end up hospitalized, and the best protection is the MMR vaccine. She's dropping facts like kids under 6 months are protected by mom's antibodies, but the real MVP is that second dose at age 4. Parents, if you've got questions, talk to your pediatrician, not TikTok. Meanwhile, Ghost Babe Girl is over here doing her own research and asking, if we're vaccinated, do we need to panic? Short answer, no. The MMR vaccine is 97% effective, and 90% of people are already vaccinated. But she's confused why everyone's acting like measles is the new COVID. Bro, it's not 2020, calm down. If you've got your shots, you're probably fine. If not, maybe skip the anti-vax mom blogs and listen to Ari Brown MD.
A couple of days ago, I got particularly upset. And that is because I posted about the measles outbreak going on in Texas and New Mexico. I made a sort of tongue-in-cheek, but also coming from a place of deep honesty, comment about how I feel bad for children with Republican parents who refuse to inoculate them. Because there's a bunch of strangers who have never met these children, who care more about them than their parents. I got multiple responses from MAGA parents basically saying that if I really, really cared about those children, their children, then I would respect and support their parents' choices to not inoculate their kids against things like measles. This is what really, really upset me. This set me off. And honestly, it was only really visible in my IG stories, and I explained where my anger was coming from, at the end of the day. But in my IG story, I said this. But to make that argument on a video about an active measles outbreak that has hospitalized multiple children, I think 77 so far are the number of confirmed cases that were hospitalized, is sick. That's sick. You're literally arguing to me that if I care about those children, I will respect their parents' right to kill them. That's really what you MAGA believe? Okay, I respect you. I respect your right to kill children. Is that better? Is that better? And guess what? Now, a couple days later, I'm sure you've seen the first child in this measles outbreak has passed away. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not theoretical anymore. Do you want me to respect those choices that those parents made now? Would you like me to applaud? Yay! Wow, this is great.
I need someone to tell me if it makes me a bad person that I 0% care about the measles outbreak that's going on right now in Texas. And you want me to tell you why I don't care? I just saw a video from Dr. Rubin, who I really like. I like him. He's a great creator on here. And he's talking about the measles outbreak and how there's like possibly hundreds of thousands of people who have been exposed at this point, and it's about to get crazy, if you know what I'm saying. And you know what? I don't care. I don't care. Do it. Do a measles outbreak. Spread it around, okay? Just keep spreading it. And you know why I don't fucking care? Because video after video on my For You page is that, like, I'm this type of mom. And you know how many I've seen that say anti-vax? And then in the fucking comments, you get like 150 comments on each of those videos being like, Mama, I'm an anti-vax. Mamas, vaccines kill. I actually saw someone write the words alternate vaxes. I don't even want to know what they're putting into their kid's body that's alternative to vaccines, because they don't make vaccine alternatives. That's not a real thing. Anyway, I do not care. I do not care. I think all these people who are choosing not to vaccinate their kids should get measles. You know what? I feel awful for the kids, but the parents got to learn, because you know what? The reason why all of these diseases are eradicated is because our parents and our grandparents and the smart ones still here today and now are vaccinating, okay? That's why they were eradicated. Not because we don't need to vaccinate against them, because we all were vaccinated against them and they were eradicated. Now they're coming back because someone in America thought it was a cute little rumor to start that vaccines cause autism, and all these fucking idiots who think Candace Owens knows more than their pediatrician thinks they shouldn't vaccinate their kids. I do want to call this out. I feel awful for anybody who's immunocompromised and is not able to receive the vaccine. I want to say one thing. When I was pregnant, my doctor did a full test on my antibodies. I'm not really sure why, but I held no antibodies for MMR, even though I was vaccinated as a child and my mom found my vaccine records. So I had to be revaccinated for MMR after I had my son. So maybe get a booster if you're concerned out there.
A. Perez Brenna is out here calling out anti-vax parents during a measles outbreak, and honestly, she's not wrong. She made a post about how strangers care more about these kids than their own parents, and the responses were wild. If you care, respect their choice to not vaccinate. Ma'am, that's not a choice. That's neglect. Now, with the first child dead from this outbreak, she's like, do you want me to applaud? Yeah, your kid died. It's harsh, but when people are out here defending deadly decisions, maybe harsh is what we need. Meanwhile, Megan Farina is over here saying she doesn't care about the measles outbreak because anti-vax parents need to learn the hard way. Spread it around, she says, fed up with TikTok moms pushing alternate vaxes, which, spoiler alert, don't exist. She's got a point. Measles was eradicated because of vaccines, not because we stopped needing them. But shout out to her for reminding us to check our antibodies, because apparently even vaccines need a sequel.
Rise in popularity of the anti-vax movement, especially among conservatives, makes me so angry, because this is an issue that is quite literally a matter of life and death, and it has real-life consequences, which we are now seeing play out in Texas and New Mexico. There is currently a measles outbreak there, and a child who was not vaccinated has now died because of it. Had that child been vaccinated against measles, they wouldn't have gotten measles in the first place, and they would still be alive. That is the first measles-related death we've had in the US in a decade. It should not have happened. I genuinely do not understand what this recent backlash to vaccines is. Like, we've been vaccinating people for decades at this point. The science is pretty set on the fact that these vaccines are safe and effective. And if you are a parent and you're not vaccinating your children, I firmly believe that you should be charged with child abuse or child neglect, because you are putting your child in danger. And we are seeing this happen in real time. This makes me so angry. That child should not have died.
I want to talk about mental illness and puberty and how the education system fails in educating us about this. Because especially for young women, I don't know what it's like to be a young man going through puberty. I didn't experience that. But I see so many young women specifically, and young men as well, who believe they have a lot of different mental illnesses, but they can't seem to get an official diagnosis. The tools that are designed to help with mental illnesses aren't working for them. And it's because it's not mental illness for some people. Obviously, if you genuinely do have mental illness, I'm not talking about you. But for a lot of people, it's not mental illness, it's just puberty. We are not properly educated in school on how fucking crazy puberty is and the enormous changes that you're experiencing physically in your body and mentally as well. The mood swings, the moments of depression, the sudden up and feeling really good about yourself and then a crash, like all of that, yes, those are symptoms of mental illness as well, but they are also symptoms of puberty. And we are not taught about how to deal with that side of puberty, the mental side of puberty, the mood swings, the crashes, the ups and the downs. Like, we're not really educated on that. Nobody explains to us how crazy it's going to be. And obviously with social media and the internet, I personally think that the effects of puberty, the mental side at least, is amplified like tenfold in a way that previous generations might not really be able to understand. And I'm sure as time goes on, there will be more studies and stuff done on this. But it's actually crazy how undereducated so many people are on the changes that you were going through as a young person, as somebody who was going through puberty and developing. Like, yes, you're going to get tits, you're going to grow body hair, you are going to start to smell really fucking bad all the time. But also your brain, the hormones, the chemicals, it's crazy. The bodily changes are like only a small portion of puberty. A lot of it is mental. And as somebody coming out the other side, going into my 20s, I realized a lot of the symptoms that I was experiencing as a young person, trying to blame it on mental illness or trying to help myself in a way that somebody with mental illness would try and help themselves, and it wasn't working for me. I'm like, oh, because it wasn't mental illness, I was just growing up, I was developing. And there isn't obviously a cure for puberty, it's just something you have to go through. But I feel like if we educate people and prepare younger people for the crazy changes that are going to happen and educate them on exactly why they're feeling the way they are, they're not going to start self-diagnosing and searching for mental health help when it's not mental health, it's puberty. And there are plenty of things that you can do to help regulate yourself and make yourself feel better and help deal with these things, but without getting them conflated with mental illness. And as mental illness is getting, destigmatized and people are talking about it more, it's really easy to conflate the two things. But if you're struggling and you think it's mental illness, but you can't get a proper diagnosis and the tools designed to help with mental illness aren't helping you, it's probably not mental illness. Unfortunately, you're just a teenager and you're going through it.
Inksmaddie.block is out here fuming about the anti-vax movement. And honestly, same. A child just died from measles in Texas, the first measles-related death in the US in a decade, and it's because their parents didn't vaccinate them. She's like, if you're not vaccinating your kids, that's child abuse. And she's not wrong. Vaccines have been saving lives for decades, but now we've got people out here acting like essential oils are a substitute for science. Spoiler? They're not. Meanwhile, at Melzi, 917 is tackling another crisis: puberty. She's calling out the education system for failing to teach us how wild puberty really is. "You're not mentally ill, you're just a teenager," she says, pointing out how mood swings, depression, and self-doubt are just part of growing up. Social media is amplifying it all, making teens think they've got every mental illness in the book. But nope, it's just hormones doing their chaotic thing. Puberty's like a roller coaster, and no one gave us a map.
The measles outbreak continues to grow in West Texas. It's now confirmed as of today, February 25th, 2025. There are 124 cases confirmed of measles, of which 18 have been hospitalized. So that's about 15% of cases. Almost everybody who has been infected was not vaccinated. Only 5 people in that group have been confirmed to be vaccinated. So that's about 4% of the total cases so far, which makes sense because as much as the MMR vaccine, which is a measles-containing vaccine, is highly effective, it is 93% effective for 1 dose and 97% effective for 2 doses. So it makes sense that there may be a few breakthrough cases when we start to see numbers continuing to go up. We also learned recently that during Valentine's Day weekend, one of these people who was infected with measles and contagious had traveled to the San Antonio, Texas area and exposed potentially hundreds of thousands of people to the measles virus. So there is a chance that there will be more cases reported in the coming days because the incubation period is about 10 to 14 days. Please make sure that you are up to date on your MMR vaccines, and if you're not sure, make sure you talk with your doctor to learn more. If you want to stay informed about this situation and other issues related to your health, hit that follow button. I'm also on Substack where you can get more detailed information sent to your inbox for free.
ABC News is reporting that an infant coming from overseas travel is confirmed to have measles. Health officials are notifying other passengers on the flight because they have an increased risk of exposure. And that was Korean Air Flight KAL-11, KE-11 that arrived on February 19th. Now, they have not issued a statement saying anything other than that it was an infant coming from overseas and that there are no exposures beyond the airport. However, people who have potentially been exposed are urged to confirm that they are vaccinated. This vaccine has 97% effectiveness. So it is absolutely terrible that people are getting this. And remember that there's 154 people in Texas with measles. There's 9 in New Mexico. 1 child has died today. This is the first time in over a decade that a child has died. And this is the worst outbreak that Texas has had in 30 years.
A Reuben Yicker allergy is out here sounding the alarm on the measles outbreak in West Texas. And it's not looking good. There are 124 confirmed cases, 18 hospitalizations, and only 4% of those infected were vaccinated. The MMR vaccine is 97% effective with 2 doses, but anti-vax parents are out here playing Russian roulette with their kids' lives. To make matters worse, someone contagious with measles traveled to San Antonio during Valentine's Day weekend, potentially exposing hundreds of thousands. Bro, measles isn't a love language. Meanwhile, at the Planker is reporting that an infant with measles flew into the U.S., exposing passengers on Korean Air Flight KAL-11K. Health officials are urging people to check their vaccine status, but let's be real. If you're anti-vax in 2025, you're basically volunteering to be patient zero. This outbreak is the worst Texas has seen in 30 years, and a child has already died. The first measles-related death in over a decade. Vaccines save lives. But apparently some people need a reminder written in neon lights.
Please get vaccinated. And if you were in any of these locations in San Antonio or San Marcos on Valentine's Day or February 15th or 16th, please monitor your health and be aware of this health alert. Somebody infected with measles who was unaware at the time traveled from the outbreak area, which is in the Panhandle and South Plains regions of Texas. They traveled to San Antonio and San Marcos and exposed people to measles at these locations. Now, Symptoms of measles can occur 7 to 21 days after you've been exposed, typically a week or two, I would say. You need to watch out for the signs of a high fever, a runny nose, red and watery eyes. Also, watch out for a cough and be aware that the telltale rash of measles, those flat red spots, typically starts a few days later. Those red spots usually appear on the face first and then spread elsewhere. And a person is deemed contagious about 4 days before they get the rash and 4 days after.
Texas measles outbreak is now spreading to New Mexico. So according to the Texas Department of State Health Services, in Gaines County and the surrounding communities, there are about 90 individuals that are infected, 77 children and 10 adults as of February 21st. And it has now spread to Lea County, New Mexico. There are 9 individuals that are infected in Lea County, 4 children and 5 adults as of February 20th. So there you go guys, that is the latest news about the measles outbreak.
George C. Mayasmin is out here sounding the alarm. If you were in San Antonio or San Marcos on Valentine's Day or February 15th to 16th, you might have been exposed to measles. Someone infected traveled from the outbreak area and went full Typhoid Mary, spreading measles like it's a Valentine's Day gift no one asked for. Symptoms like high fever, runny nose, and that telltale rash can show up 7 to 21 days after exposure. Bro, if you're not vaccinated, now's the time to panic and call your doctor. Meanwhile, at your local PsycNP is updating us on the measles outbreak spreading from Texas to New Mexico. Gaines County has 90 cases, 77 kids, 10 adults, and now Lea County, New Mexico, has 9 cases. This outbreak's moving faster than a TikTok trend, and it's not the kind of viral we want. Vaccines are 97% effective, but apparently some people think essential oils are a substitute. Spoiler, they're not. Are you worried about the measles outbreak? Let us know in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the issues that matter. Until then, stay safe and stay informed.